All right, I think we are getting started. So let me just double check everything is good. I think people are going to be coming in here shortly. So okay, make sure that I can see. All right, looks like we're good. So thank you for joining us for this week's coaching call. There's the carrot. So cool. Let's go ahead and get started, guys. Man, looks like we got people jumping on pretty quick. So awesome. So if you guys can see me and hear me, if I can get at least one or two people letting me know that you can see me and hear me, we can go ahead and get this call started. So sorry for the little short delay. Had to take care of some stuff before we went live. So cool. All right, like I say, if I can get one or two people letting me know that we're good, then we'll get started. So, awesome, cool. All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for jumping on this call. We're going to talk about some credibility stuff and conversion stuff. The reason why I want to circle back around to this topic is we still get a lot of questions coming through regarding conversions and credibility. And now sometimes these questions don't come in that form where they say, hey, there's a problem. And sometimes, like I said, we talk about this all the time. I've learned to ask myself, do I have a conversion issue or do I really have more of a traffic issue? Okay. So there's always going to be different elements on determining what is it that's wrong. And one thing I'm hearing more is, your website is ranking well, you're getting clicks, you're getting some PPC activity. But there are just some elements that maybe that's causing your conversions to dip, so we're going to cover that. And I really hope we have a good group of people that is going to participate. There's no doubt you guys are all good people, so I'm not questioning that, but I really hope we engage in this call. Would love some examples, but before you guys start sending in your website address, let's hold off on that, because anytime we because I want to learn, teach you guys how to really be more specific when asking for help. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you are on this call, shoot through a text or a message, say, hey, I'm here. They'll let me know who's on. And there might be a few of you that we've had conversations throughout the week, so we might address some questions that you had to ask through maybe live chat, or maybe we did a strategy call not long ago and you want to follow up on something. So please let me know who is all on this call. Just say hello, and also where you're jumping online from, and we'll just go from there. And we'll have plenty of time. Should have plenty of time to be able to go over some Q&A and also some credibility stuff. So, all right, let's get this party started. Let me just go ahead and change over to my screen. Cool. Alrighty, and okay. All right. So as I mentioned, we're going to be talking about making minor tweaks to make today to increase credibility and conversion on your website. So again, that's going to be the key word, is tweaks. One of the things that I see happening is, even though we encourage a lot of personalization, we encourage you to, add different elements. Sometimes I see people kind of going overboard with that. Okay, so I really want to make sure that, even though I love people engaging, people begin to go down that rabbit's hole and begin to do too much. Now, I like to kind of say there's no such thing as too much, but remember, when it comes to conversion and credibility, you're dealing with human elements. People, how they respond. What's important to them. Okay, so I just think so many times we focus too much on how we look at things, what our perspective is, and sometimes we get caught up in the whole SEO. We're asking the wrong questions. We're wondering, hey, is this domain perfect? Does Google look at this? I mean, kind of things that don't really matter, and then sometimes I see people begin to make too many tweets, before allowing just to let that thing settle in to see if it really makes an impact, So if you're tweaking your website 5 or 10 times a day or a month even, sometimes you're not allowing things to play out. Like me, honestly, and I can be confident in saying that, even if someone kind of challenges me, like we're doing a lot of deals, and I can honestly say it's been a while since I last tweaked my website because I trust the system. I trust what has been working. But also on the front end, there were some minor adjustments I made. There were some things that maybe I was paying attention to. And really what I was paying attention to is that wasn't really my keywords or all the important stuff that we talk about, even though those are important. I pay attention to my customer. Okay. So that's one of the things I hope you get out of this call is really begin to kind of have that mindset of looking at who your customer is. Okay. And not getting caught up in all the different aspects of SEO. Again, that's coming from a guy who loves SEO. So I'm not saying SEO is not important or shouldn't be, and not saying that you shouldn't pay attention to certain stuff. I'm just saying sometimes there's a time just to kind of chill, let things play out. And then there's times to where, yeah, you definitely want to investigate. So it's a learning process, so I'm not trying to beat up you guys on that, but just want to make sure that, because I want you guys to be successful. That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. So we're going to talk about a few stuff, and hopefully we'll jump into some websites that we can, if you guys have some questions, whether it's related to this training or SEO, whatever. I just want to make sure you guys walk away getting something out of this call. So great. All right, a little bit of housekeeping stuff, new content to check out over on our website on carrot.com, and you'll find these in the blog section. Boston's #1 home buyer breaks down his journey and real estate marketing strategy. That's with Tom. Awesome podcast. And I love case studies. I love what people do. Here's one thing too. A lot of these guys don't do what we just talked about. I mean, they do what I just said. They don't get in the mechanics of trying to go down a rabbit's hole. They just kind of trust the process and just focus more on marketing. And they made a choice to where they did set up their websites to a certain point, and then boom, they just went off into marketing. And that's the key, right? So, but anyway, the other one is real estate Facebook ads, the why and how to get leads. Pretty cool infographic, and then also another Carrot Cast with Josh talking about Facebook ads for real estate agents. So if you're a real estate agent, make sure that you're checking out that content. But awesome content to dive into, and hopefully you'll get 1 or 2 nuggets that you can implement in your own business. So check that out. Weekly dose of awesomeness. Kevin, I hope you're here. I think we are going to answer some questions for you as well. I'm so impressed with you, your team, and the results from following your step-by-step direction. We've been live on Carrot for 5 weeks and have had a handful of leads. In fact, we just put our first Carrot lead under contract. I did not know that, Kevin. I know we talked back and forth, but I did not know you put your first Carrot lead on the contract, and would love to know if that was a note lead or seller lead. Yeah, we'll love to learn more about that. So congratulations to Kevin. I know Kevin's on here each and every week. So he's definitely taking what we say and implementing, which is probably the most important thing, is implementing what we teach. So great stuff. All right. So let's just dive right into it. So credibility is really something I think as investors we're not really good at doing. And again, that includes myself. So I'm not trying to say anything negative about investors or wholesalers, because I'm one. And I remember when I first got started in real estate investing, really what was taught was more about how to get leads, right? How to get someone motivated, right? How to really have, whether, It's learning how to do postcards, bandit signs, online lead generation. We're always talking about what is it that we do, but I think, and we probably got away with that for so long because, sometimes the market is just good to where you don't need to do that work. You just got to put yourself in front of people who are looking, and everything just kind of happens from there. But, as markets become tougher because it's becoming a seller's market, or you got more competition like never before because technology has given so much people more to information on how to be a wholesaler, how to be an investor, how to be, all these different things have really caused competition to probably be more fierce like never before, which is, again, is great. I love anybody who takes that path of entrepreneurship or real estate investing. It's great. Okay. So, but overall, it just kind of floods the market, and so there's a lot of reasons why a lot of people tend to jump in. And what happens, it becomes so crowded. And what happens is now when you got 2,000 people, 1,000, 1,000, 2,000, I don't know what the number is, but pretty much saying the same thing, no one's really standing out. Okay. So, and even with the Investor Care website, I know I've been guilty of this, is really just kind of focusing on building traffic. Because, and again, you should build traffic. You need to get people to your website, right? You need to put yourself in front of those looking for the service we're looking for. So we all know that optimizing your website so your website ranks well does that. Okay. We know that doing PPC, we know that running Facebook ads, running Craigslist ads, basically marketing, you're going to get people putting their eyeballs on you, right? But now, now we kind of cross over. Now that happens, is our website doing what it needs to do to help win those people over, especially when people have other options. Okay. And that's the same thing with websites. More people are probably looking at multiple websites, like never before. So when someone does a search, we buy houses, Chicago, and that's the first thing that came up. Your website is not the only one that's popping up, right? So people have an opportunity to click on this website, all these websites. And, what are those elements that we have to pay attention to, that we know that people are going to, that gets people's attention, basically? What are the things we can do to be able to help increase, visibility, not just visibility, but, attention. Okay. So, there's so many things that can be done to do that. But at the end of the day, my point is that every seller has options. Okay. Every seller has an opportunity to choose. And really, now some people are just going to just click in, submit forms without giving thought to it. That's going to happen. Right. So you might have someone who clicks on this website, and this website. And then just, and now it becomes a foot race. Who's going to get to this customer first? So, now who has a better follow-up system is the one that's going to win. But then you're going to have people who are doing their due diligence, who are concerned. So, they start clicking around like this, and, what are some things that are influencing them, right? So, what are the elements? Even the We Buy Ugly Houses company, they're stepping up their game. Now they're doing things. Really, a lot of stuff that we teach is how to personalize your site. Before it was just one theme, one message, but now they're getting in the game, because look at here, they're personalizing their number. I think 773, is that a Chicago area code? Yep. So they're probably doing dynamic numbers, right? So look, that's pretty cool. They're stepping up their game, so, their websites are ranking. So now they're in the mix, just the fact that they're personalizing their site locally, can make all the difference. So again, it's always about stepping up and always paying attention to what are some things that I can do again, not having to revamp your entire website, but what are some things I can do that really capture the attention of who I'm trying to attract? So someone clicks on that, and then there's this company. Okay, so these guys put a face to their service. Can that make a difference in your market? They don't have the toll-free number that's local. They have a toll-free number versus a local number. Can that have an impact? They have live chat. How much does that have an impact? So there are certain things that, of course, you may need to test that can determine what does work and what doesn't work. But again, it's always finding ways to make those small adjustments that can make all the difference. Okay, so let's see. I'm just going to do one more. Okay, it looks like this is a carrot site. So maybe if you're on this call and this is your site, let me know. So so right here, again, same thing, Chicagoland house buyers. Chicagoland is probably maybe a local terminology that that can make it the difference. So when someone sees this, they know that man, this is a local company, right? So they engage. So it looks like this site was personalized a little bit. Let's see. And let's go to the company page. Yeah, so I mean, even this site has some missing elements that, like, they've done a great job of presenting on the front end. But what happens when someone, like, they got great momentum going with Chicagoland house buyers? I mean, like, they've localized it. The website looks good. They've made some tweaks to the content, but then what happens? Someone comes to them, and then nobody, right? Okay, there we go. So for this slow reaction, and then boom, it's like that just kills everything that you might have been working on. So that's what I mean. Those are the things that you want to kind of begin to kind of have an idea. What happens when someone first lands on my site? What if they go here? Okay, and then like me personally, I always try and get rid of. Looks like these guys did perfect. So sometimes we leave the holder for the testimonial in there, and sometimes I don't like that in there because I know sometimes we need something there so that it wasn't meant to stay there. But first thing that you guys should be doing is taking out that placeholder, okay? Because it looks like an ad, because when people come here, like, you don't want them to have the perception that you're selling ads or you're running ads for something else, and that can totally kill credibility and just kind of the flow, the momentum that was built just by them navigating. So you always want to look at those things that a potential person on your site can do. Okay, so you don't want to kill the flow of them navigating your website. That's why I'm really big on the company page. I'm big on the testimonial. And even if FAQ, if you're seeing that a lot of people are going to your FAQ, you're probably in a market to where people just have more questions than maybe a different market. So, and you don't want to leave them hanging. Okay, so you got to be there to kind of address those questions. Okay, so get rid of that. So anyway, so that's what I mean. It's like, credibility plays a more of an important role because, and I've said this many before, people are less trusting. People are more skeptical, and people are more savvy. People are more likely to do a little bit more of their due diligence. So you just got to have to look at things from that perspective and not forget that. Like I said, sometimes we get so caught up in and just the everyday stuff of lead generation. We really, what happens, we forget about the customer. Okay, so and what I want to talk about here too is what credibility is not. Okay, credibility is not built through your SEO. Okay, or PPC. SEO is meant to position you where the traffic is. Okay, just because you position where your customer at doesn't make it an automatic win. You still got to pull people in. That's probably one of my favorite words to say is you got to get people's attention once they land on your site. Just because they didn't land on your site, just because they land on your site doesn't mean that they're going to engage with you. So a lot of people tend to think, well, I'm doing SEO. everything will kind of take care of itself from there. Now, sometime there are going to be times you get away with that. Some people just like, man, they just want to take action. They just want to see someone who can help them, so sometimes it doesn't make a difference, that, which is cool, but again, you want to look at worst scenario. Like, you don't want to leave it to chance that everyone is just going to just fill out a form. Okay. So credibility is not built into your SEO. It's not built into your PPC, not even your ads. And one thing I'm going to say is that credibility doesn't come through copying other people's stuff. Okay. And what I mean by that is so many people, unfortunately, do copy other people's websites. Okay. So, I have an alert system on mine that shows anytime someone copies my information. So, I mean, I've kind of fallen behind on reaching out to those people to do that. But here's the thing now, that it's not that gets me upset or that bothers me. It makes me shake my head, because if people are not willing to investigate your market on what might work best, you're just kind of shooting yourself in the foot. I see so many people copying some of the terminology off of my website, but what if that terminology is just ideal and suitable just for that particular market, but yet you're using that terminology in a market that maybe they just don't even know what it is, and what happens? No one's responding. Even though people are coming to your site, they're not responding. Okay, so you got to put the work in. I know this is probably one of the most boring subjects, and some of the more we tend to skip it because during the strategy calls, I try to push the carrot guide phase 1 on a lot of people, but it's just people just don't do it, and then they wonder why. I'm raising my desk, by the way. I don't know if you can hear that, and now people wonder why, man, I'm getting a lot of people to my website, but I don't seem to be getting more opt-ins than I think I should. I'm doing pay-per-click, I'm doing SEO, my website's ranking well, but I'm not having much success. And then what happens is that they tell me they went through the carrot guide, but yet nothing's been done on their website. So it just looks like everyone else. And when I say everyone else, I'm not talking about the carrot site, but the message is the same as everyone else. Again, when people get immune to that, people tend to learn how to block out certain things because it just sounds the same as everybody else. You got to kind of interrupt that pattern. Interrupt that pattern of getting people out of that mindset of whatever their perception is, and really get them focused on what you provide, which should be the benefit. Okay. Which is the benefit. You got to learn how to, we have to learn more on how to make that transition to where you're focusing on from going from that suspicion to, is this a scam, to where they trust you. Okay. So again, credibility is not going to be, that's why phase one is not about driving traffic. It's about credibility. Okay. Don't think that just because your website's ranking well or you're getting good results with PPC as far as people coming to your site, that's not going to automatically give you credibility. That's just the start. Okay. So, and again, and please stop copying other, and I'm sure nobody on this call is doing it, but yes, don't copy other people's stuff. I mean, it's good to get inspiration, but man, take the time to learn about your market. So when you're talking to sellers, ask them questions. Okay. Ask them questions. What's important to you? Why did you decide to engage with our website? And sometimes they might say, hey, we engage with 5 other websites, which is fine. Then that tells you, you know what, I better have a good follow-up system, because now in that case, again, it's going to depend on who gets to them first. Now it's a foot race, right? So again, just wanted to make sure that those things that we talk about, credibility, branding, we're not talking about SEO, PPC. I've helped many people, in the past and currently on how to rank their websites. But see, my job there is just to increase their visibility. I can't close the deals for them, so So sometime I think someone on this call last week mentioned that they made some minor tweets and they just happened to get a couple leads that day. Could it be because of the tweets they made? Yeah, obviously they increased that. They increased their chances by making those minor tweets. They thought that was important. That was brought up on this call. But more importantly, they were also positioned to where they were easily found. So that's the difference between really traffic and conversion. Okay, so if you're having conversion issue, sometimes it's a traffic issue, meaning you're not getting enough people to your website to justify it's a conversion issue. Okay, so but if you're getting a ton of people to your website, but they're not engaging, then there's something wrong. It could be something with the ad, or it could be something with the website. So but hopefully that makes sense. So again, don't think that credibility is automatically built when you're doing SEO or really any marketing, with that. So like I said, when people come to our website, I've used this slide before. A lot of the stuff that we say that we can do is not the normal transaction. When people think of traditional real estate, when people think of real estate, they think of traditional real estate. So when me and you come along and says that we can buy your house in 7 days, 5 days, even 3 days, that's gonna bring up like suspicion. If you tell someone, hey, there's no cost to you, people are going to say, hey, nothing's for free. What's the catch, right? No inspections. Okay, what's the catch? People are going to always think there's a catch. Okay, so those are the things that we have, that your sellers are thinking about as they decide whether they engage with you. So those are the things. That's why it's so important that you instill trust into their minds immediately. Because what you're doing is you're countering this stuff. Okay, so let me ask you this: how can you have anybody on this call has anybody in this call have really gotten some resistance from sellers because they were suspicious? Would love to kind of hear some of your experiences. Can you validate what I'm saying about sellers being suspicious? They're wondering if this is a scam. They're wondering if this is, what's the catch? Would love to kind of get some feedback on what are some objections that you guys have heard from motivated sellers that maybe caught you by surprise. So shoot out some of those. I'm gonna actually get a couple. I got a bottle of water that's just over on my on the other desk, which I'm gonna grab really quick. So as I'm looking at, please, let's get engaged, because if you guys bring up some pretty cool stuff, maybe we'll address those. So if there's certain objections that you guys are getting from people, hey, let's dive into your website and see how we can address those things, because every market's different, guys. Okay, so like I said, right now I'm going to give you guys maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds to shoot through some example of some objections that you guys have gotten while I get my water. Give me just a second. So again, like me personally, I always tell people the biggest one I get personally is just a scam. So that's probably not my number one thing, is just a scam. Let's see here. Yeah, so Courtney, awesome. Courtney is on the call from Atlanta. Awesome. So this week I had a contract signed with a woman, and her real estate friend said it was a scam and that nobody can close that fast. She wanted to walk. That is a perfect example right there. So that was the other thing I wanted to mention. Remember, sellers have other people in their ear, okay? Family members, unfortunately, maybe even other real estate professionals, because a lot of people still don't really understand this whole concept of, acquisition, how we're able to do it. Now, I'm not saying we walked them through the whole wholesaling process, but that's a perfect example. She had this seller had real estate brokers that were telling this seller that there's no way that these guys can close that fast, because what happens, the broker, the real estate professional, they're used to the process of inspection, contingencies, all this stuff that really prolongs a closing, to where us as investors, we do a cash deal. I mean, as long as the title clears, I mean, we can, like in some of the markets I'm in, it's an attorney state. I mean, it really depends on my availability on the attorney. I think the fastest that we closed was 1 day, but of course, my attorney just happened to be available to be able to do title and all that. And then it was just a matter of scheduling, and everyone just happened to be available right away. So I technically was able to market that, hey, I can close within 1 day. But again, even though it sounds great, I can run with that. I have to also understand that might cause people to back off. You know what I mean? So sometimes you got to be careful. Like, even though it might be reality, you got to also understand what people's objections are going to be. Too good to be true. Like, no, just like, and and a lot of that comes from family members, friends, people that maybe try and are just they're ignorant, but yet they're putting these stuff in people's ear. Even real estate investors. That's why me personally, I try to stay away from saying real estate investor on my sites, because it's simply because of not what that person's perspective is what other people are telling them. Oh, those real estate investors, they're gonna lowball you. They're gonna take you. You know what I mean? That you're gonna give away the house, right? So usually, again, it's not the actual seller, because the seller is emotional. All they care about is getting the house sold. They just want to be done with the property. But then people start putting stuff in their ear, and a lot of it, unfortunately, is out of ignorance, of course. So those are the things you got to keep in the back of your mind that you're going to have to contend with, and address it. If you feel confident, address the, what they call the elephant in the room. You just don't be shy to confront. Like me personally, on my Facebook page, on some of the ads I'm running, I always get people criticizing what we do, and you know what? I address it. I don't erase. I don't delete the comment. I address it. There was a situation, I'm going to share this. I don't know. This happened a couple of weeks ago, so I may have not shared it, but I had someone say something like publicly, say, hey, this is the company that excuse my language, lowball the shit out of us. And I said, wait a minute. So I don't remember, us, because we tend not to lowball. I just knew that wasn't, there's something right. So anyways, I looked at that person's name in our CRM, and sure enough, she did come through our website. She did fill out the form. She was going through it was her parents' house, going through foreclosure, and but she was just really criticizing us. We're saying we're this, and this, but then I called my acquisitions manager and said, hey, I said, did you get in contact with this person? Because I wanted to know the story, and not just, respond without knowing. So, and he said, yep, we tried calling her 4 or 5 times, but she has not called us back. But anyway, she ended up talking to someone else, and they lowball her. Well, I don't want to say she got lowball. That was just her words, but they offered a really low price. And in that neighborhood, shoot, she should have taken that, taken that amount. It's just in a crappy area. Nobody wants that area, and the house is just in poor condition. But anyways, but we were able to defend ourselves. Say, hey, that wasn't us. And then I got a chance to educate. I said, if you guys, because a lot of people tend to go off of Zillow and all these different websites that isn't always accurate. And I said, hey, if you really want a true analysis of what your house can sell for in today's market, your best place to start is with a realtor. Okay, they can give you, give you comps. They can give you some insight. What are some things you can fix that can perhaps bring up the value? Blah blah blah. So basically, I was making the whole, I was telling the story of the whole complicated process. And I educated, and yes, it was a lot for PR, but so my point is I'm not afraid to address opposition. Okay. Now I'm not saying you go out and be a jerk and all that, but just don't be afraid to address people's criticizing you, because if you don't, that just reinforces what people already think of us, so, and those people never responded. A lot of people tend to get smart, and then they'll respond and start saying stuff, but they had nothing to go by. I mean, I could have said some negative things like, hey, you're in foreclosure, you needed help, but I didn't, you know what I mean? I just kindly address our industry, because she just had a wrong perception. And I really felt like I wanted to defend our industry, not just our company, but our industry. So, but anyway, those are things you contend with. Okay. So don't think that your seller is just going to come into your website and just do what you tell them to do. Now that may work occasionally, but you don't want your lead generation to be to hang on that. Okay. So always be aware and have this mindset. What's the objections? What are some things that can people take this the wrong way? But and then at the same time, be ready to address. Okay. So, okay. Yeah. So credibility right here. Awesome. I'm a verified veteran-owned business with the Department of Veterans Affairs for credibility. And I had her look me up on the VA's website, and she's back. So awesome. So that's a great example. Here's this person that had negative information. She was ready to walk, but it was credibility that brought her back. Verifiable credibility. That's why I'm telling you guys, don't copy, because you can't verify your credibility when you copy people. Okay, so you're just going to get yourself into trouble. So great job on that, Courtney. Let us know how that, if it leads to a deal and works out. Definitely want to celebrate. We'll send something out to you. So awesome on that. Come on. What are some other feedback? Any other stories? But yeah, great. That's a really, really great one. Love it, Courtney. So again, I always know that there's always going to be these things too that you have to contend with. Okay, so don't think that everything's just going to line up for you. Okay, so again, a lot of this is psychology. All right, so again, lack of credibility is going to really cause more people to less likely engage with you. Okay, so make sure that you're investing that time to incorporate that credibility. Now, I totally understand that sometimes that starting out, it's hard to have that, but look for those opportunities. So like for an example, if you're maybe a real estate agent before, don't be shy about calling yourself that you've been a real estate professional for the last 15 years. And of course, if that's questioned, you have backup. You got proof to back it up. Join associations locally that people are familiar with. Now, I'll give you my thing. Like, I'm not a big fan of the BBB, the Better Business Bureau. Okay, I'm not a fan of theirs. To me, I can't comprehend having to pay money for them to give you credibility. So, but anyway, with that said, I know a lot of people that have told a lot of people that I work with, past clients, that they get deals because they're part of the Better Business Bureau. Okay, so people are going to always, because you got to give people justification. There has to be something there that gives them permission to do business with you. Your word alone sometimes is not enough. Okay, so write that down. That's something that I think is so important. You have to understand. You got to give someone permission. Okay, some people need that little thing that gives them permission, even though they're on the fence, even though they're part of them is like they know they got to do it, but then they just need some type of confirmation, I guess you could say. Everyone always wants some type of permission that validation or something that's going to help them take that next step. Okay. And with your website, that should be credibility. Okay. So look at it from that point of view, just have that mindset. Okay. Because honestly, this is how a lot of people see us. This is how people see us, whether you like it or not. People think that we're out to take them. People are out to take advantage of their situation. And again, a lot of that's not coming from their own thoughts, but other people's thoughts. People are planning certain thoughts in their mind about, our services. Okay. So these are the things that if you can understand, they'll help you better carve out your direct mail, I believe. They'll make you a better marketer when you're doing Facebook. And of course, also when you're making those minor tweaks to your website, you just, by having this perspective and you giving thought to it, really believe that's going to make a difference, and it's sincere. Okay. So don't make these changes for the sake of just having more credibility, or it's just a task that you can check off. Or just don't do it just because you want better conversions. Do it with the mindset that you just want to help people. That's one of the biggest changes that I made in my in anything I do, especially SEO, is user experience. How can I provide a good user experience? That really causes me to kind of dive in and take a closer look at, is my message relevant to this market? Is this going to help people? Because when you have that mindset, all of that will better your SEO. All of that will better your conversion rate. When you sincerely care, you'll do those important things that are going to help people engage with you more, because sellers are not dumb. Okay. Yes, they're motivated, but they're not dumb. Okay. So that's the way you want to look at it. All right. So again, this is something that we shared over and over so many times, like these are just some of the things you always want to, I would take a picture of this on your cell phone, maybe hang it up, take a screenshot. But, as you begin to kind of see where people are at, in their situation, ask yourself, what emotion are they feeling? What are they skeptical at this stage of this whole process, and the problem aware, solution aware, the decision. Okay. So, so ask yourself, what could they be thinking at this point? Okay. So again, this is a lot of work, guys, but if you want to make this business work, these are the type of things that you want to invest into and figuring out. Okay. And then implementing, and that right there can set you apart from everybody else. I don't care if there's 10 or 15 investor care sites in your market. If you're the one that knows how to resonate with the seller, you know how to use a Jedi mind trick, you will do very, very well. You'll have that edge. Okay. So again, just some really minor tweaks, making sure have a solid about us, the about page. Share your mission, but don't make the mission about building wealth. Don't make the mission about, building a lifestyle. Make the mission about how you're going to make that person's life easier, how you're going to take away their problem, how that mission is your mission, and make sure that they feel it. Okay. So, don't just, talk about yourself, but make it about them. Okay. So, again, optimize that page for your company and your location combined. So if you guys are doing a lot of direct mail or you're doing other offline marketing, optimize that page where it includes your company name and your location. Because one cool thing that could happen is someone looks you up. Let's say they saw an ad, they looked you up online. What awesome thing to happen then? Your company information to show up through your website. Okay, right there gives you credibility in their mind. Okay, so some optional, but I think some next level stuff. Yes, some of the stuff will require an investment, but getting yourself accredited with the Better Business Bureau, or some organizations that have high esteem in your market. Okay, so here is a great example. So let me see. So one of the things that I've done is, here's who wants a good idea. Okay, so I'm going to give you this idea that I did. So I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I'm in the process of working this out. So it's not complete, but it's in the works. That was me drinking water, by the way. I had my morning workout this morning, and man, this morning was tough. Very tough. It's a mental challenge more than anything than a physical challenge, but I'm still recovering from it. But here's kind of a hack. What you want to do is locate some respected organizations in your market. So now, the bigger your market, that might be a little bit tough. If you're doing a lot of virtual stuff, it might be tough. But for those that are locally based, this might be a really cool hack. So here's what I did. So I live in Wilmington, North Carolina, and it's a small market. All right. So here's the thing. Remember, I'm digging into my market. Okay. So it's a laid back market, probably 100K population. We have a lot of neighboring military base, training center. Well, not necessarily military base, but training centers for a lot of our military. You know, so we're not a military necessarily. We're more of a beach community, but we have a lot of local military facilities, training facilities. Okay, so there's a lot of patriotism in this area. Okay, so big. So what I did is I've been noticing that this raising rate. Okay, so I noticed that these guys have a really big presence in the local market when it comes to awareness. So, Raising Raiders, these guys really support and help finance just things that military families might need. It's a really awesome organization. Okay, so they do a lot of great stuff for military families and financially supporting things that maybe, like for an example, they raise money to give all the kids back to school stuff. Just little stuff like that. Then unfortunately, when there's a tragedy, so when something bad happens and someone loses their lives, they help pay for some of the funeral. They pay for family members to come in from out of state. I mean, there's a lot of cool stuff they do. But anyways, they want to draw this out. So I went to them and asked them that if I could commit $50 a month, $25 a month, I don't know what it was, I forget what it was, that I could be mentioned on their website. Okay, so my idea was, since this is a recognizable company, this is something that I would love to use on my website, as a credibility, because people are aware of this. These guys are a big local organization. So now, is that the ideal credibility thing? But no, to me, it kind of does two things. One, I get a backlink from them. Two, it's more or less that I have a recognizable brand on my website. Okay, so again, that's an idea. You might have to do some research on what's a recognizable idea. And then, so you're kind of doing two things. Kind of getting a backlink, because they'll mention you on your website, and then also you have the ability to use their brand as as a official supporter, something like that. So my conversation with them went really, really well. So I'm really, really excited about it. So again, and then it's a .org website, so, and I think these guys carry a 2030 domain authority, which is not the greatest, but it's legit. Right. So, yeah. So again, just a really simple idea that you can implement, so if you say, well, I don't want a Better Business Bureau, but, like I said, just open your mind and just, be open to just kind of get creative on how you can get that credibility. Now, I shouldn't say get creative credibility. You don't want to be creative to where it's not, legit, but I'm just saying, think outside the box. And so this would be a good example of thinking outside the box on how to get some credibility stuff. So we'll be using this on the credibility site, and even on the seller site. Okay, so we'll implement that somehow, somewhere. Then at the same time, get a backlink. So that's awesome. All right. So cool. So again, those little things, you know, and then also YouTube video optimization. You got to have some videos that's optimized for your business name and your location. Have to. That's probably your low-hanging fruit. And I probably would not create a text and music video. It has to be a video on who you are in your company. Maybe record a video of yourself that talks about your core values. What is it that you stand for? Those things that really is more PR stuff, I guess you could say. But you want a video there showing up on page 1 of Google if someone were to Google your business name and your location. So again, these are probably very, very easy, low-hanging fruit. Again, that's why we wanted to call this more about making minor tweaks, not doing a complete makeover of your website. So again, just some really quick, if you want to take a screenshot of this, get at least 5 testimonials on your website. If you haven't done any deals, go after 5 character-based testimonials. Okay. Also build a system that you're intentionally getting reviews on your through the Better Business Bureau page, and also your Google profiles. You know, so you might have to do some research on how that's done and possible, because these platforms change periodically. But you know, get people. You know, whether offer an incentive. You know, offer someone, hey, if you do this, we'll give you, I don't know, offer $25 gift card. You know, but again, you're not bribing them for the testimonial. You know, more or less is taking the time to be able to give you that review, and do it when it's hot. Meaning you probably don't want to reach out 2 weeks after you've done a deal. You know, get that done at the closing table or right prior to closing. You know, make that investment. It is a little bit tougher if you're doing virtual stuff, but again, something worth investing into. Create testimonials into Facebook ads. Start building your company brand out there. Start getting it into the public. So if you're sending a lot of mailers into certain zip codes, start doing some videos that are targeting those zip codes on Facebook. You know, it's just getting your name more recognized, because once someone introduce someone to your logo, your company, somehow subconsciously that's stamped in their mind. You know, and then if they see it again, it's something that they're more familiar with. Okay, so also go back and review the carrot guide phase 1. Like I said, we break down a lot of credibility boosters, along with localization and then personalizing your site. All that can mix together, really makes you more credibility. Again, it's all about perception. Again, don't get too SEO focused. A lot of people tend to do that, especially when it comes to the content. You know, you're writing out content for the sake of SEO, which again is not it's not a bad thing, but you got to incorporate user experience. You know, communicating what is it that you bring to the table. Why should someone trust you more? You know, and sometimes that takes some effort. You know, you might hire a former writer to help you write a paragraph that can really be powerful. Okay, so don't get caught up, at least on the content side, just about SEO. Okay, so again, even though it's important, don't just be SEO focused. Be user experience focused. You give people a good user experience, people will stay, people will engage, and that right there is what's going to make your SEO even more powerful. So, but anyways, just wanted to kind of do a quick run through of that. Some of it could be review for some of you. And if it's review for some of you, then you guys should be implementing. But if this is the first time that you've been on the calls where we're talking about it, these are some quick, easy things that you can do. I mean, I probably would say half an hour tops to get this implemented and done. So it shouldn't be like a week project unless you're working on it 15 minutes here and 5 minutes here. But this is something that's very, very important that you get done, especially if you guys are running ads on Craigslist or Facebook, because you're driving traffic to your site right away. So you got eyeballs on your website already. So you want to make sure that you're making the most of people coming to your site by optimizing a lot of these things that we're talking about. Okay, so that's it. Very short to the point. No fluff, just things that can have a major impact without you having to spend a whole week or month perfecting your website. Just make these small changes, whether it's changes, adding, just get it done. And if you guys get stuck on any of this, or maybe you need more insight on how to make some of these changes, like I said, the carrot guide, which you'll find in the help section, will walk you through that. So that's going to be your quickest help to what everything we're talking about, more in the task list. Okay, so phase 1 of the carrot guide, which you'll find in the help section. And the way you get to the help section is when you first log into your account, you'll see in the upper right corner the help tab that takes you into the help section, and you'll see the big blue image that says carrot guide. Okay, so anyways, like I said, right on the dot, I wanted to keep this under an hour without dragging it out. And we can totally dive into some questions, Q&A, and anything that we can do to help. Okay, so, and also, if we had touch base earlier this week and I told you to get on this call so we can discuss your question, let me know. Send that through right now, and we can help answer them. So if you guys have any questions regarding this training, let's talk about it. Or if you just have other questions regarding your SEO, whatever, send them through as well. And also be ready to be asked some questions. I might need some additional information, more insight to give you the right diagnosis. So, all right. So hopefully you got something out of this. So let's kind of dive into some questions, Q&A, or live diagnose. So send them through. Oh, one thing I forgot to ask is if you're brand new, this is your first call to our weekly coaching, please let me know. We want to make sure we welcome you in and send some positive vibes and welcome you in. So I always love connecting with newbies or new members, because I'm still a paying member myself. So I'm one of you guys. So, cool. Hey, Kevin, are you still on the call? If so, do you want me to address your question about what we talked about with the SEO and backlinks? Just give me a yes, and then we can talk about that, and also send through your website again if you can. All right, Joseph. Let's see who's on the call here that's answered earlier. So Joseph from Baltimore. Awesome. Terry Yee, Y-E-E. Awesome. Cool. All right. I don't think I've seen that name before. Terry, are you new to Carrot? Your name does not look familiar. Eric George. That name's very familiar. Hey, Eric, thanks for joining us on this call, man. Eric. First call. I thought you've been on these calls before, Eric, but you may not have. Gary's always on these calls. Michael, Chris from Seattle, Faye from the San Antonio market, Omar from Wisconsin, Shyla. Am I saying that right? Shyla. Awesome. Shyla. Or make sure I'm saying that right. I'm always killing names, which I got to get better at. But Shyla from Philly. No, wait a minute. I think Philly, right? So cool. Awesome, Eric. Yeah, I know who you are, Eric. Just giving you a hard time. Awesome. Yep. So here's a question. And thanks for letting me address this here on the call, Kevin, because this is something I get quite a bit. Um, so we're going to go over to this site. So even though we're talking about a note site, the principles, the concept is still the same, whether you have a motivated seller site or any other site that you're going to optimize. So let me just hop in here. Okay. So what Kevin has done is that he has set up, and I don't recall exactly the different. I think it was because he was going to do a national site that he decided to do his homepage as more general. Okay, so if someone were to, so it didn't tie it down to one specific area because sometimes too, if you get someone in, I'm just making this up. Let's say I get someone in Chicago and they're seeing for some reason they see one of my, they see a Columbus page. They might think that we only deal in Columbus. Okay, but yet, so that's why I think the idea was the homepage is generic. So he asked was how can he get the homepage ranking? Okay, so here's kind of the pros and cons with that. When you're trying to rank a page that's not tied into a location, now what happens is you're targeting pretty much the entire world, entire country, because now it's more general. Now, the pros is that you definitely can reach a heck of a lot of people. So you never know, someone in Nashville might see this and they engage. You might get someone in Michigan, but the task is a tough one to rank nationally for certain terms, whether it's private mortgage or note buyers. Even if you use different terminology like real estate note, trust, all of that, it's a tough task. Now, is it impossible? No, it's doable, but you're going to have to do a crazy amount of backlinks. Okay, now you mentioned that you've already done citations. You've already had some past backlinks. Those alone is just not going to just cut it. When you're trying to rank nationally, backlinks have to be ongoing. Okay, so if you go into the 3 lead per day training, which I know you have, see, the thing with SEO is there's going to be certain things. There's going to be certain things that training. Okay, there's going to be certain things that you do once, and then there's going to be things that are just going to ongoing. Okay, so what is going to be always ongoing is backlinks. So if you go into the 3 lead per day training, you got to start going into module 4.2. Okay, 4.2 and 4.3 because it's ongoing. It's just not something that you already have some and then you've done some citations. Citation is not going to provide you with the type juice. We call it juice. Like I say, if you dive into the module 4 training, it'll make more sense. But backlinks has to be ongoing because you have to build the authority of your website to the level to where Google's going to recognize you nationally. Okay, so obviously when you tie a page to a local area, it's easier. Okay, so now when we talk about backlinks, we're not necessarily talking about citations. Even though citations can be technically a backlink, it's not a link that pushes your website. Citations is great more for credibility. Now, why is when you have credibility with Google, that helps increase the trust that they have on your site. But that alone is not going to push. I think you said you had other 45 backlinks you already had. Okay, so that's just not going to cut it. Okay, so you got to build backlinks each and every month. Okay, because it's progressive. You have to be consistent. So that's just what you got to do. And the cool thing is as you build backlinks into your website, into your homepage, that's when you begin to really also feed all these other pages. And because you got so many pages, you just got to create even that much more backlinks. Okay, so when you're targeting a major area or you're targeting a national market, backlinks has to be a big part of that. So, it sounds like you haven't dove into this particular module because, like I said, this talks a lot where backlinks is going to be an ongoing, and really it's probably going to be a monthly task that you're going to have to do. Again, if you want the website to rank organically with Google. Okay, because and backlinks, really the purpose of that is really it's kind of like virtual votes for your website. Now that doesn't mean you go out and just get any backlink, because the backlink has to be of high quality, come from a relevant website, which we teach you how to build them, not acquire them. So you'll just have to do that. So you just got to really get that going as soon as possible. It's just something that's just going to take time. That's why SEO takes time, because it just doesn't happen, based on what you did before or what you have now. Normally, depending on the goal, it's going to be an ongoing task for you. Okay, so yep. So hopefully that makes sense. And really, when and the reason why we had you break this down, the reason why we at Carrot love the city page concept, it makes SEO just that much easier, because when you can tie it down to a local market, I mean, think about it. If you're marketing to all 50 states versus one city, it's a smaller task to target smaller cities. Okay, so it's just more doable. All right, so that's what I meant by you need more backlinks, and it's just something that you're going to have to do each and every month for a while. Okay, so but that's why I think when we first talked, that's why I told you start creating city pages for your most important cities. Start with that, and then build out to where if you begin to see opportunity in certain cities, certain states, and then instead of trying to depend on your home page for people to find you, identify your best spots and then just simply create a page for it. That's going to be more doable for sure. Okay, so but yep, so hopefully that helps. Hopefully that makes a little bit more sense. I know it was kind of tough just shooting back text back and forth, but I'm glad that we got a chance to address that. All right, Richard. Yeah, you Richard, don't know where idea to put comment on the coaching call. Yeah, the same place that you just make that comment, that's where you put it, so I can see it. Yeah, Jeffrey, I'm currently completing 6 full tier bills per week. Is there a point that becomes a red flag? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Whether it's enough or not, whether it's too much or not, you got to ask yourself, does this look natural? Because remember, you're almost trying to create content that's going viral. That's why there's the second tier and the third tier. That's really more to create that viral effect. So me personally, because I want the website's authority to build pretty quick, I send all my links directly to the home page. Okay, so now occasionally, if there's a certain city page you like, definitely send some backlinks there. Or better yet, if you're going to send pages or backlinks to other than your home page, the best thing you can do is send some backlinks to some content, which is a blog post, but make sure that blog post has a link back to the home page. So you're kind of creating a double tier backlink by doing it that way, and that looks very natural. Okay, so instead of a city landing page. So hopefully that helps or makes sense. Oh, Brooklyn, cool, Brooklyn, awesome. So welcome to your coaching call. Glad to have you. Oh, awesome, Terry. Okay, cool. Okay, so yeah, just make sure you keep coming to these calls. That's awesome that you're coming to these calls now. So I know we did a strategy call about 2 months ago or 2 weeks ago. So Yes, you're commenting in the right place. Oh, you're welcome, Jeffrey. All right. Yep, Chris Gooley. Yes, you're in the right place. So if you have any questions, of course, just send them through. Yep, Shiloh, let me know. He said, yes, I'm pretty new. Got my website last week. I'm still kind of lost on the SEO side. Not sure what to do. Do you have any specific questions that you want to go over on the SEO? Because really, SEO is just a matter of you just starting to implement. So the best place to start, let me double check something. If getting the website ranking, which is what SEO is going to do, that's awesome. I mean, that's my favorite. Even though it takes time, it's a long-term strategy. It takes time, but yeah, all you need to do, Shyla, is start going into the 3 lead per day training. You know, start with go to the beginners. Start with module 1. It will introduce you really what SEO is. It can give you a better understanding of what it is, the concept, you know, the great thing about it. So just dive into the 3 lead per day training. That's where you're going to start. Don't try and figure things out just by figuring things out. Dive into the training. That's where that information will be. So, and this may not this may not relate to you, but I'll just say it. I did a Facebook Live earlier. I was talking about how my trainer, we were going through my training this morning, and man, I was just certain point, I was just exhausted. I was doing like just nonstop circuit, and I just really began to get like really challenged mentally. Now, it wasn't really on the physical, even though it was physical, but it began to get mentally challenged. But I remember her making a statement, man, just get started. You know, there's just one exercise that I was so tired of. Basically, her idea was just get things in motion. You know, start there, if anything. You know, don't think too much on what is it that you're trying to do. Just get it started. You know, so you know, so sometimes things become confusing or we don't understand because we're just looking at it. So I guess what I'm saying is just dive in, and then things will make more sense. Then those questions then you'll know what questions to ask. Okay, so I do see that you have the training, so just dive in and keep coming to these calls weekly, and then reach out to support anytime you have questions or need help clarifying something. So just get started. Yep. So awesome. So yeah, get that call scheduled. But in the meantime, also make sure that you're first set up your website. Make sure you're getting into the carrot guide. Get your website set up first. That's one thing I always recommend, guys. If you're going to set up a strategy call, make sure let's talk about strategy. So if you haven't gone into setting up your website through the carrot guide, get that done first before set up a strategy call, because a lot of the strategy won't make sense unless your website really you have it set up. Okay, because there's certain things that I really feel is important you set up first. So so the carrot guide is right here. Like I said, it's in the help section. And then phase 1, that's where I like to have people start. Okay, these are the things you want to have in place first, because it's really kind of difficult to kind of get into strategy without really having everything in place first. And again, these are just simple stuff. Carve out 30 minutes, an hour, and you're done. Okay, so start here, and then once you're done, get that strategy call scheduled. But also think about what's your budget. What is it that you want to accomplish those things? So, and we'll definitely get a lot out of that call by having those stuff in place. Yep. So cool. Yeah. Look forward to that. Once a tier 1 builder. So yes, I mean, I know we kind of circled this. We kind of talked about this in person. So, I mean, one thing, like, don't really look into it too much. Like the way I do it, I like week 1, I do tier 1 links. That's it. Week 1, tier 1. Okay. Week 2, I do tier 2 links. Week 3, I do I do the social bookmarks. The idea of the social bookmarks is to make sure tier 2 gets discovered. Because if tier 2 don't get discovered, my tier 1 won't get discovered. The purpose of tier 3 and tier 2 is kind of twofold. One is just simply to create that viral effect. It just makes it more natural. And then 2, it's also to assure that my tier 1 gets discovered eventually. So I work backwards. Okay, so that's the reason why I like social bookmarks, because social bookmarks get found by Google really easy. So remember, social bookmark, you're gonna place your tier 2 links there, and because they get indexed very fast, tier 2 gets discovered, and then of course tier 1 gets discovered. So it's just that viral thing. So those are the 2 objectives. So no, I mean, I to me, this is just me. Once I'm done with that, I'm done. Then the next month, start from scratch, something totally different. I very rarely go back to past work I've done, because I mean, I have confidence I got it done right. And plus, I'll use a tool like Ahrefs.com to help me make sure that a lot of my backlinks are being discovered. Now, Ahrefs is not going to be, there's no perfect tool to help you look up your backlinks. Okay. But to me, that's the best. So yeah, just start building out very small. Tier 1, week 1, tier 1, week 2, tier 2, week 3, social bookmarks. Take a break the 4th week, and then the next month, start all over. Okay. So finishing my seller site. Buyer site is on hold, considering not doing it at all since Houston has a lot of buyers. Considering the seller site may are too much lights. Okay. I mean, here's the thing. I mean, each site has its different purpose, Richard. I wouldn't look too much into it. You're gonna attract certain type of leads with your seller site versus your main company site. Now, if you're using your main company site also to market sellers, you're probably doing that. That's not a good idea. Because that's the purpose of the seller site anyways. So you should be funneling all of your motivated seller site to your all your sellers to your motivated seller site. The main company site, personally, I think that just sits there. That one should be optimized for your business name. That site is more informational. It's not even set up for lead generation. That just kind of sits there until it's needed, I guess. Like me personally, I like my company site because if someone were to look at my business name, I want that main company site to come up. Okay. And more than likely, people are just using it just for validation. Okay. Because one, even if it's seller finds the main company site, they probably already found my seller site first. They're just looking up my business name. That's how they're finding it. And it's just more validation. So, like I said, don't get caught up in perfection. If a lot of times we theory, I don't know how to even say it. We think too much into it. Like there's too much theory, like, and a lot of times you won't know unless you just run it. Now, if you begin to see that there's a conflict, then yeah, you just make those adjustments, so, that's the cool thing with Investor Carrot. It's very, very simple, right? So like me personally, I probably never touched my main company site. All I did was slap a logo on there. Okay. My main focus is simply on the motivated seller site because that's my front end funnel, right? So every website, not everyone's going to go through. I mean, unless you're putting on it's probably not smart to do, but unless you're promoting all your websites on your one business card or on your email signature, you're putting all your websites on there. Then I can see where people are clicking there and they're clicking. Now you're just creating confusion. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I mean, if anything, your main focus as far as personalization, Content creation should really, at least now, should be focused just on the motivated seller site. So yep, Jeffrey. Yeah, it's normal. I mean, you're not going to get those backlinks don't get found, overnight. I mean, like I said, that's the purpose of the tier process, just to make sure they get found. Now, at the same time, if you don't get found, don't look into it too much. There's a lot of backlinks that I've created um, that doesn't show up on Ahrefs, but I'm okay with it. You know what I mean? It's not a perfect tool. So again, it's just trying to stay out of that rabbit's hole. Okay. So you just got to have confidence that you're doing everything the right thing, and you just got to do over and over and over. That's it. It's all about consistency. There's going to be some backlinks that may never get found. It is what it is. You just got to just keep creating them. So it's not a perfect process. Google's not perfect. Ahrefs is not perfect. So there might be some stuff that you'll never see that you've done, but it somehow indirectly it still impacts your website. Okay, so all right. Awesome. Cool. All right. Yeah, it's mostly questions, which is cool. I like that. Um, yeah, on content, any reason not to put up blogs at the rate of 2 per day? I mean, I'll kind of answer that in my personal way. Like me personally, it's just not about just pumping out content for the sake of content or SEO. Like me personally, if I'm going to put a lot of effort, I actually hired a copywriter to really kind of do a really long blog post. It's not in the content articles that that I have access to through my own personal account with Carrot. I had a personal writer write up about what are the true factors and differences between listing with a realtor and dealing with an investor. Okay, so I wrote that through just my own experience from perception that people have. So I wanted to cover that. I think we have a similar article to in the content articles, but I wanted something a little bit more in depth. So it's probably taken us 2 weeks to write that article. So now, if I wanted her just to pump out articles just for articles, I mean, that's kind of your choice. But I really, anything that I do in terms of content, I really want there to have true purpose behind it. So we are willing to invest creating this long blog article for 2 weeks. I mean, we can easily probably have created 10 different articles within that same time frame and shorter ones. Okay, but in some of the markets I'm in, there's a true concern on people knowing which route to take. So for us, it's about creating one piece of blog post that we're going to put all of our resources, we're going to take our time with, and we're going to make it very informative, very engaging. And then, even though it's taken us a week or two, now what happens once we're done, then we're going to promote that article, okay, on Facebook. We're going to see how much engagement we get. And then depending on the engagement we get, and then I'm going to also do a heat map test on that. I'm going to see how many people, what parts of the articles people are engaging with the most. And I'm going to take that data and be able to create new articles or create another article that's just going to be focused on what people engage with the most. Okay, so that's just the way I think. I've never been a fan of just pumping out articles just to have more blog posts or cover topics. I just like to dial in on what people are going to engage with the most and just make it really good. And then use that as a a stepping stone to create other content based on how people engage with it. So so that's kind of my answer. That's just my personal preference. I'm not saying what you're doing is wrong. If you feel like you're providing content that's great, that's going to be helpful, that you guys can promote, not just put on your website, but actually promote, I'm all for it. So I'm just saying, always have purpose with anything you do. Okay, that's just always been the way I do it. So, but hopefully that makes sense. Cool. All right. Awesome. That's all the questions that have come through. But I might be around for a little bit. I'll be around for a little bit. So if you get to this by and so the call is live right now, but if you get to this point a little bit later, you're probably on a recorded call. So of course, if you're on a recorded call, please don't hesitate to ask questions through chat. They'll send that chat over to me, and I'll be more than happy to answer. So don't feel like you got to be on the live call. Even though we do want you on the live call weekly, but if you can't make it and you're listening to a recording, please reach out, still reach out through live chat and ask your questions, and we'd be more than happy to help you. So, but anyways, hopefully this call was good. Would love any feedback. Would love to know your key takeaways. Again, that's not for my sake, but it's really to reinforce what stood out to you, because more than likely, if it stood out, it probably means that something is probably that one thing you need to focus on. So it's more reinforcement, and then just make sure you carve out time to make sure you get it done. And of course, our team is here for you. Reach out to live support. We're always here to help you in any way. So please don't hesitate. Our team, the Carrot team, really cares, guys. I love that about the team, because again, I'm a customer myself, full paying customer, and I just love how this team really does want you guys to succeed. So, and they can't help you if you guys don't reach out. So, anything we can do, please reach out, and that's why we love getting feedback. The feedback is more or less to make things even better. If there's some stuff that we can deliver on even better, something that we're not doing a good job in, we want to make sure we correct that as well. So, but we sincerely care, because if you guys don't crush it, I don't look, then we don't crush it. So, and I know Trevor has, and the whole team actually has that same mentality. So anyway, hopefully you guys have an awesome rest of your day. If you have questions, like I said, just simply reach out. We're here for you. All right. Have a great day. All right. Bye.